Nobody expected this from Manny Pacquiao. At 46 years old, most people thought he was coming back for one final payday. Across from him stood Mario Barrios, younger, bigger, stronger, and holding the title. But when the bell rang, Pacquiao didn't look finished. He looked fast, hungry, dangerous. Round after round, he made the boxing world ask one question. Is Manny Pacquiao about to shock everyone again?
Round 1. From the moment the opening bell rang, something felt different. Most people expected a legend making one final appearance. Instead, they saw a fighter who looked determined to prove everyone wrong. Manny Pacquiao immediately started moving with purpose, bouncing in and out of range and forcing the younger champion to react. Across the ring stood Mario Barrios, a naturally bigger fighter holding every physical advantage. But size wasn't the story early, speed was. Pacquiao exploded forward with quick combinations and sharp angles that instantly energized the crowd. Barrios remained patient, trying to establish his jab and control distance. But Pacquiao repeatedly slipped inside before firing fast counters. Every clean exchange brought a louder reaction from the arena. Nobody could believe what they were seeing. This wasn't a retired fighter surviving. This was a former champion competing. By the end of the round, one thing was clear. Pacquiao had not come back for nostalgia. He came back to win. Round 2. Round 2 brought a different version of Barrios. The champion understood that matching Pacquiao's pace would be dangerous. Instead, he focused on what made him successful throughout his career: reach, patience, distance control. Barrios began using the jab more consistently and worked behind it to keep Pacquiao at the end of his punches. For the first time, the age difference became less important than the size difference. Every time Pacquiao entered range, he had to navigate a wall of straight punches. But even then, the legend found moments: quick bursts, sudden combinations, angles that confused the younger champion. The pace remained surprisingly high. Neither man wanted to give away momentum. By the final minute, both fighters were landing clean shots, and the crowd could sense that this fight was becoming far more competitive than anyone predicted. Round 3. By the third round, Pacquiao looked increasingly comfortable. The movement became smoother, the timing became sharper. Most importantly, the confidence became visible. Every successful exchange seemed to remind him exactly who he was. Barrios continued trying to impose structure on the fight, but Pacquiao repeatedly broke that rhythm with sudden attacks. One moment the champion appeared in control. The next, Pacquiao exploded with a combination that brought the crowd to its feet. The younger fighter was still landing, still competing well, but he was being forced into a pace few expected from a 46-year-old challenger. Suddenly, conversations began changing. Fans stopped asking whether Pacquiao could survive. They started asking whether he could actually win. And that question changed the atmosphere inside the arena completely. Round 4. Round 4 may have been the moment when the entire boxing world started believing. Pacquiao looked fearless. The footwork was flowing, the combinations were landing, the crowd was fully behind him. Every time he attacked, the energy inside the arena exploded. Barrios remained composed and continued boxing intelligently, but the momentum felt different now. Pacquiao was dictating exchanges more often and forcing the champion to react. What made the round so impressive wasn't power, it was activity. Pacquiao simply refused to fight like an aging veteran. He fought like a contender chasing history. Barrios landed enough shots to stay competitive, but the story of the round belonged to the legend. 4 rounds in, the comeback was no longer a publicity event. It was becoming one of the biggest stories in boxing. Round 5. By round 5, Mario Barrios understood that simply boxing from the outside wasn't enough. The champion began increasing his output and looked far more aggressive than before. He doubled the jab, started attacking the body, and used his size advantage more effectively. For the first time in the fight, Pacquiao was forced to spend longer stretches moving backward. The crowd still erupted whenever the legend landed, but Barrios was quietly putting together one of his strongest rounds. Every body shot carried purpose. Every jab disrupted Pacquiao's rhythm. Yet even during difficult moments, the former champion refused to stop firing back. He continued finding angles and sneaking quick combinations through the guard. The fight remained incredibly close, but momentum had started to shift. Round 6. Round 6 felt different. The explosive pace slowed slightly as both fighters began making adjustments. Pacquiao relied on experience. Barrios relied on structure. Every exchange became a battle of timing. The younger champion tried controlling distance with his reach. Pacquiao looked for opportunities to explode inside. Neither man was dominating. Instead, both were searching for small advantages. The crowd sensed how important every round had become. One mistake could change the entire fight. One clean combination could steal momentum. By the end of the round, uncertainty filled the arena. The scorecards were becoming increasingly difficult to predict. Round 7. Just when it seemed Barrios was settling into the fight, Pacquiao responded. Round 7 showcased some of his best work of the night. The speed returned, the combinations became sharper, and the confidence was impossible to ignore. Time after time, Pacquiao slipped inside and landed quick flurries before escaping danger. The crowd exploded with every successful attack. Barrios remained composed, but he was being forced to work harder than expected. Nobody anticipated the legend would still have this level of energy deep into the fight. Yet there he was, trading with a world champion and refusing to slow down. The belief inside the arena kept growing. History suddenly felt possible. Round 8. By round 8, the atmosphere had completely changed. Fans who came expecting a farewell performance were now watching a genuine title fight. Pacquiao continued finding success with quick entries and rapid combinations. Every clean shot generated huge reactions. Barrios answered with discipline and consistency, but the momentum felt different. The champion was landing. Pacquiao was creating moments, and moments matter, especially in fights this close. Late in the round, Pacquiao put together another strong sequence that brought thousands of fans to their feet. Suddenly, the impossible no longer seemed impossible. The legend was still right there. Round 9. Great champions respond under pressure. Round 9 was Barrios' response. Understanding the fight was slipping into dangerous territory, he increased his activity and began pressing the action. The jab became more effective. The bodywork became more consistent. Pacquiao still had success during exchanges, but the younger fighter was finally imposing his physical advantages. Every round now felt like it could determine the final outcome. Neither man gave an inch. Neither man showed signs of surrender. The tension inside the arena became overwhelming. This was no longer about expectations. It was about who wanted the championship more. Round 10. Entering round 10, both fighters understood the stakes. The margin for error had disappeared. Pacquiao continued fighting with incredible determination. Barrios continued relying on youth, size, and activity. The exchanges became more dramatic. The crowd became louder. Every clean punch felt significant. Pacquiao had moments where he looked 10 years younger. Barrios had moments where he reminded everyone why he was the champion. The fight was hanging in the balance. Nobody knew how the judges were seeing it. And that uncertainty made every second feel important. Round 11. Round 11 may have been the most intense round of the entire fight. Fatigue was visible, but so was determination. Pacquiao continued pushing forward despite his age and the relentless pace. Barrios answered every challenge. Neither fighter was willing to give away momentum before the final round. The exchanges grew more emotional, more urgent, more desperate. Fans sensed they were watching something special. The champion was fighting to keep his title. The legend was fighting to complete one of the greatest comebacks in boxing history. As the round ended, nobody inside the arena felt confident predicting the result. Round 12. The final round arrived with everything still up for grabs. Both men knew it, the crowd knew it, and the tension was incredible. Pacquiao continued pressing forward, searching for one last statement. Barrios answered with discipline and volume, determined to finish strong. Every exchange felt meaningful. Every punch carried championship implications. When the final bell finally sounded, both fighters raised their hands. Both believed they had done enough. The crowd waited nervously for the scorecards. Then came the verdict: a majority draw. Barrios retained the title. Instantly, debate erupted across the boxing world. Some believed the champion deserved it. Others believed Pacquiao had completed the impossible. But regardless of the result, one thing was undeniable. At 46 years old, Manny Pacquiao reminded the world exactly why his name will forever be part of boxing history.